welcome back to episode 118 of Talkoffamepod podcast with your host, Kylie, and I'm very excited to have on contestant of season 22 of The Voice, Mendez. Thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Kylie. It's nice to be on your show and get to chat with you for a little bit.
Of course, same to you as well. So, how did you find your love for music? Did you have any, family or anything that kind of done music, or was it kind of you found passion at such a young age?
So I grew up listening to a lot of music. My dad's a big music fan. I didn't grow up listening to country music. I grew up listening to his genre of music, which he liked, 80s and 90s rock, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Green Day, listening to a lot of that music. And then I always loved singing along to his CDs. When we'd be in the car or on the boat. Those are my favorite times to listen. And then I just started finding my own genre of music, which was country music that I fell in love with around middle school age. And I've always had a passion for music and the storytelling aspect of it.
That's amazing. Did you how has your father kind of influenced everything? Because you said, you guys always listen to rock, 80s, 90s rock and stuff like that. How did growing up with that kind of influence you as an artist? Did it influence you in any way?
Oh, it absolutely did. I just the energy of that music, and when you listen to it, it's undeniable what it does to you inside. Listening to Eddie Vedder, who's one of my, who's the lead singer of Pearl Jam, that's one of my idols, and the way that he's able to kind of weave stories into his songs. And I think Nirvana does a great job of that too. It just kind of made me appreciate lyrics and appreciate how these guys and girls form a story in a musical, beautiful way.
And with music, music has been such a huge part in everyone's life, especially during the pandemic. Music has been a huge part of my life, especially during the pandemic. Music has helped me shape my life so much. And over the last year or so, you auditioned for season 22 of The Voice. You performed "Beer Never Broke My Heart" by Luke Combs in your audition, right?
Yeah, that was my audition song. I love that song.
Me too. And why did you choose that song for your audition of different country songs?
So I've been performing that song for a long time with my band. I think that's a song that we've played every single gig. And I think that song just has a lot of me in it because it has, it's country, but it also has a little bit of a rock edgy side to it. And I knew that on the Voice stage, I had one chance to kind of capture my energy and put it on display. And I thought that song would do the best job, show a little bit of how that, of the fact that I can be a little bit dynamic and I can be country, but I can do some rock. I can, get a little gritty, and I can put on a show. So that's why I picked that song.
It's amazing. Are you a Luke Combs fan as well?
Love Luke Combs. Big Luke Combs guy.
Me too. Is he going on tour this year or something?
Yeah. He'll be back on tour this year.
He's
working on another.
I heard he was doing shows, but I wasn't sure if he was actually doing a whole, tour around the world.
Yeah, he's doing another tour, and he's actually working on another album that I think will be released at the end of March.
Oh wow, that's crazy. And I wanted to ask you, when I was doing some research, you like to call yourself a Cuban cowboy, right?
Yeah, I was kind of given that name.
Did you have Cuban ancestry and stuff like that?
Yeah, my grandparents on both sides were Cuban. They were forced to flee the island after the dictatorship, the Castro regime took over. Pretty much, my grandparents on my father's side, they were Cuban cowboys. They were farmers and cattle ranchers in Cuba. And then after Fidel took over and the dictatorship was in place, they kind of took their farm and kind of gave them no option but to flee the island and come here to the United States.
That's amazing. Ours is literally with us in different types of family, everyone has a different immigration family ancestry. And I was legit for school, I had literally done an immigration project about my family on my mom's side, I just remember thinking to myself, like, I never really looked into those type of things. I'm like, well, I know what countries they came from. I really never knew the background. But and then like I saw like, oh, they came from a district. I'm like, are you crazy? But then like
Hmm.
as you kind of grew on like your family ancestry, like how did you kind of feel that like, oh, my family was, from Cuba and they're called Cuban cowboys. Like, was that something you knew like your most of your life, or was it something over the last couple of years that you kind of knew?
I had, I grew up with my grandfather telling stories of Cuba, and him and my grandmother telling me about the farm they had over there and all this land, and the animals they had, the crops they would grow. But I never really dove into it until a couple years ago, when my grandfather passed away, and it's unfortunate that it took him passing away for me to kind of, get another appreciation for it. But as I looked deeper, and saw that they were legitimate. I'm sorry about the dogs.
No
they
worries.
they were legitimate uh, Cuban cowboys, and that everything clicked, like my love for country music and where that comes from, and the love for like that simple part of life, that you live
Mm,
on the farm,
mm,
and everything just kind of clicked. That's why the Cuban cowboy was uh, such a perfect, I think, nickname, and I'm proud to carry that.
And like as I kind of switch over back to The Voice, like as this time went on during season 22, you chose to like be part of Team Camilla, which is amazing. And like why did you choose Team Camilla over some of the other teams? Because
It
some other teams are crazy artists and they're all different in each way.
Yeah, no, that was hard. That was the hardest decision I've ever made, for real. Being on that stage, I never thought I would get a four-chair turn. That was the biggest surprise of my life. So having all four coaches to choose from, it was like an impossible decision. I loved Blake, and I still love Blake, and I thought I was gonna pick Blake when I got on there. But Camila just ended up saying all the right things. I felt the connection because she's from Miami and also comes from a Cuban family,
Mhm.
and I thought we could relate to each other. So that was a big reason why I chose Camila, and working with her.
Like, what was it like working with her? Like, as people, like, I grew up listening to Camille and Fifth Harmony and some other things. Like, what was it like
Mhm.
working with her?
It was awesome. She's really, really cool, super down to earth. She's always down to have a good time. We laughed a lot, and but she's also really good at what she does. She's a great singer, and she had a bunch of good advice for me every time I worked with her.
That's amazing. And like, as you switch over to music, like we talked about this earlier before we started, but you started your own band called Orlando Mendez Band, and like you guys are moving to Nashville next year
Mhm.
for country music, in which the band does gigs across the state of Florida. And like, how did a band come about? Like, how did like you starting the band like come about, basically?
So I was actually playing by myself. I was playing by myself with a friend of mine. We would just do duo gigs and solo gigs as things started opening up, after the pandemic. And one day I was given a gig with a bunch of random guys I didn't know. And it was just a paid gig. Everyone was getting paid to come and play, and we didn't know each other. And I showed up and we played that first gig, and we sounded pretty good. And so I was like, guys, you want to keep this going? And they were like, absolutely. So it's been 2 years now. I've been playing with my band, the Orlando Mendez Band, and we've been all over Florida, been in Georgia, and all the way up to Nashville. And now we're moving to Nashville next month and gonna keep it going.
That's so cool. And like recently you came out with a brand new single called Front Porch Heartbreak. What was like the story behind it?
So Front Porch Heartbreak is there's a lot of truth in that song. It's a true story. I had a relationship um, that ended a little rocky. We kept having these like breakup moments, and I noticed that they always happened in the front of my house, like kind of on my front porch. That there was where we kept having these discussions that we would then break up after. And so then I wrote this song that is just, like I say in the song, I guess this will go down as another front porch heartbreak.
Mm,
It's kind of like an iconic thing to front porches either be the beginning of relationships or the end of relationships on front porches, and so that's why I wrote that song.
That's amazing. Like every breakup, like on the front porch, literally. Is it
Yeah.
like everything was on the front porch, right?
Yeah, it kept happening to me, and I know that it's happened to other people too. So I just decided to write that song as like a way to connect with people and to tell my own experience.
And like, do you have like any new songs or projects in the works in this new year?
Oh yeah, I just finished recording last week. I was up in St. Augustine with my producer, and we just finished recording two new songs. I have about two or three other ones that have been recorded and are ready to go. So I'll be dropping another single. Should be in February or early March, and then we're gonna keep it rolling. We're gonna have a lot of music coming out and try to get some traction.
That's amazing. Are you going to do any more gigs or anything in the next couple of weeks or months?
Yeah, so we have this weekend we have one gig. The next weekend we have three. The weekend after that, three. We're doing like a final goodbye Miami um, tours these next couple weeks, and then when we move to Nashville, we're already starting to book to start playing over there.
And like the last thing like I want to ask you is like what is some advice for upcoming singer-songwriters that kind of want to make it out?
Yeah, I have. Oh man, that's such a good question because I wish someone would have told me and given me more advice in terms of just keep working, work hard and take some chances. I think what we lose sight of is we want everything to be perfect. We're searching and striving for perfection, which is a great goal, but at some point you got to just say I'm going to put myself out there, and no matter where I am, this might not be the perfect product or work, the best work I'm ever going to do, but the world needs to hear it. Put that song out there. Um, put that cover out there, film that video and put it out there, and don't have any shame about where you are. And, if I wouldn't have taken the chance I took to audition for The Voice, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be on your podcast, and I wouldn't be where I am in life right now. So you have to take those chances in order to level up.
Exactly. Like so many people would like to like self-doubt you thinking like, oh my God, you can't do it. But like you said, like people need to take chances even though they might get now. Like you said,
Of
like if you didn't try out for The Voice, you probably wouldn't have made that far and would have gotten these amazing opportunities. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't try, you probably wouldn't have gotten as far as you can, as you like are now.
Absolutely. And you have to believe, things take a while. I'm sure you've noticed with your podcast, you put out episodes and sometimes they do great and probably some episodes don't do as good as you hope they do. Maybe it's a slow build, but it's a build, and it's a grind, and it's just about every day putting yourself out there and putting something in front of the world and giving it your best shot every day.
Exactly, exactly. And so like I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I wish you the best of luck in Nashville. I know it's definitely gonna be a weather change, right?
For sure. But I'm excited for it. Me and my band are super excited to get up there at in the hub of country music and make it happen.
And like I wish you the best of luck with anything. If you need help with anything, feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to help. And the Nashville, like hard country music, like it's amazing. Nashville. Like it's just I can go on about Nashville, but this is like thank you so much for coming on and taking some time out of your day. And the best of luck to you and we'll definitely catch up soon. Maybe do another one.
Of course, Kylie. Thank you so much for having me on here. It was a pleasure talking with you, and we'll keep in touch for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you.
Bye.